Hello. Welcome to Sutherland Institute's public policy event, The Future of Education with Governor Jeb Bush. My name is Christine Cook. I'm the Director of Education Policy here at Sutherland Institute. We are thrilled to have so many distinguished guests in the audience with us today. A special thank you to former Florida Governor Jeb Bush for being with us. After years as a successful education reformer, we are so excited to get his insights on this topic. And a warm thank you to our Utah Governor, Gary Herbert, for being with us to present opening remarks and to introduce his friend, Jeb Bush. Governor Herbert has been our chief's executive for a long time, since 2009, and he has had great successes in business, industry, and other areas, which has caught the attention of the entire nation. Today he'll speak about education, which is a unique opportunity for us, especially as he'll be passing the torch of the governorship to someone else next year. So, as is often the case with such esteemed speakers and guests, we are working within a tight timeline today. So the event will proceed as follows. We'll have the pleasure of opening remarks from Governor Herbert, then we'll have a keynote address from Governor Bush, and then we'll have a sit-down Q&A with Sutherland Institute President Rick Larson and Governor Bush, which will be exciting. So because we do not have time for direct audience questions, we've tried to structure that portion in such a way that we'll cover topics that I think are on everybody's minds. So with that, will you please join me in welcoming Governor Gary Herbert.
Well, thank you, Christine. And with this introduction, I feel like I'm the salad before the main course. And so I'll try to be brief and to the point. I'm honored to be here with all of you, and particularly honored to be with my good friend Jeb Bush. Jeb comes from a very, I think, politically astute family, and have contributed in so many significant ways, not the least of which is education. His mother, Barbara Bush, involved in education as the First Lady of our country, and involved in so many different things with the Foundation for Family Literacy. His brother, George W. Bush, did great education work in the great state of Texas. Had the phrase that we all believe in, no child left behind. We want everybody to have the opportunity to have a good education and excel. And we know that education is a key to that. And Jeb's own work in Florida as the governor there, and the creation of ExcelinEd, which is a national organization on competency-based education, which a lot of us here in Utah and a lot of our teachers and people involved in education participate in. I think coming up in San Diego, if I'm not mistaken. Governor Bush. Let me just make my remarks this way. When I came into office, as most of you know, we were at the depths of the Great Recession, the worst economic times in our state's history since the Great Depression. And so the focus I had as governor was, what can we do to improve the economy, provide economic opportunity for our people, because I do believe that having a good economic environment is the foundation for a great quality of life. It's pretty hard to have good quality of life if you don't have job opportunities for yourselves and for your children and the rising generation. We have focused on that laser-like and have created the most business-friendly environment in the state and in the nation today. Forbes magazine has named us 6 out of the last 9 years the best place for business in America. A key component, though, for long-term sustained economic viability is skilled labor. That's education. And so the educational component should not be lost on any of us. And as we talk about education, economic opportunity, job growth creation, they're linked at the hip and if we're going to have continued success. And frankly, it should not be such a partisan issue as sometimes we see around the country. It's not as partisan, I don't think, here in Utah. In large part because one of the best things that I did when I became governor was to say, I'm not going to do a study on education. I'm not going to do another governor's review, and this is the problems we have with education, and then put this report up on the shelf, which all it does is gather dust. We created an Education Excellence Commission where all stakeholders would come together and talk about our common goals of having education excellence and achievement take place in our state. And I can tell you, this has happened, nearly 10 years ago, that we had people that were so upset at each other's differences of opinion, they thought that they were reluctant to sit by each other. But over time, we gradually understood that although we have maybe different approaches, our goals are the same, our processes may differ. But we can reconcile those differences with better understanding, better education amongst ourselves, and better awareness of what our challenges were and how we could solve and overcome those challenges. And the results are quite phenomenal. Again, I'll just mention, it's football season. We want to compete with Florida, but we've got some good football teams. But I'll tell you one thing that we find in common with a successful football team is the ability to have teamwork. Everybody has a role to play on the team. One is not necessarily more important than the other, but as we collaborate and cooperate and work together that we are able to, in fact, move the football down the field. Now that's a metaphor for what we can do in government too. We have different stakeholders. We all have roles to play. Mine is important, but not any more important than many other positions out there on the team. And as we work together, we'll find solutions and ways, in fact, to advance the education football down the field. That's happened with our Education Excellence Commission. As we've come together, we've developed not just here's where we're at today, but here's our 10-year roadmap. Here's our pathway forward of what we can do step by step, incrementally, to achieve our goal of becoming the #1 best education system in America today. We're not going to settle for second. We want to be #1. We set the goal to become the best performing economy. We achieved that goal. We've created more private sector jobs per capita than any state in America today. We can do the very same thing with education. And let me just show you what we've been able to do with the help of so many stakeholders, you included here, but there's partners, whether they be teachers, and our teachers that are doing outstanding work in the classroom, our superintendents, our school board members, not only state but local school boards, parents, the PTA organizations, really everybody working together in concert and saying, let's pull in the same direction rather than pull apart and see what we can achieve. Let me just give you some examples of this, what I would consider, collaboration, and I'll conclude. One of the things we recognize that we have to have better alignment. Our labor, our skills that we teach in schools have got to align better with what the demands of the marketplace are. And we have better alignment now, and our higher education is getting ready for this tsunami wave of students now that we know that high school education is not enough. You've got to have post-high school. If you want a good job, you've got to have a good education and skills that align up with the demands of the marketplace. And that's taking place. I met with a group of 5th graders just earlier today at the governor's mansion. And every one of them, I was proud to say, how many going on to college? Every hand went up. We've changed the culture now. That's commonplace now across the state of a recognition of post-high school education, whether it be at technical colleges, 2-year associate degrees, certificates, or traditional 4-year education. Our charter schools have been a significant and growing component part. More choice available for parents and for students. And we've got the private sector stepping up. Computer science master plan. We've got donations of $5 to $6 million from the private sector to help us with computer science. Do you know that we're creating in the marketplace of America 500,000 job opportunities that need computer science skills? And yet we're only graduating about 50,000 per year to fill those jobs, a significant gap because of lack of alignment around the country. We've also gone back to finding that there's other ways to skin the cat with internships and people learning on the job. And so our Pathways program, Talent Ready Utah Pathways programs, we started with aerospace, where people have internships and learn on the job, get credit for their school, get paid for some of the work they do, and decide whether aerospace is a profession they want to go into. Our diesel technology programs. We just added now a new build, design, and construction to go along with IT and life sciences. Again, different ways to learn and progress and have the skills necessary that the marketplace is demanding today. We still have a lot to do, but I like the road that we're on. I think the road of education success, it's always, as they say, under construction. No pun intended there, funny. But the road to education success is one that we need to adapt to and evolve and understand. The marketplace is dynamic and it changes, and we need to be nimble enough to change along with the demands that the market presents to us in our education system. Here's the results of what's happened in the last 9 years from our Education Excellence Commission, the work of our legislature, which is a significant partner. They control the money, our local school boards, teachers, everybody, again, working together. Our graduation rates are up now 12% from when I came into office. Our NAEP scores, as we compare each other with other states, Governor Bush and I talked about this a little earlier. Our NAEP scores were in the top 10. Now, our goal is to be number 1, but we're in the top 10 when it comes to reading and language arts and math. Number 1 in science. Our AP participation, we're 5th in the nation when it comes to performance of AP advanced placement classes and participation. People getting ready for college in earlier years in their high school years, junior and senior years of school. In ACT test scores, we require in Utah everyone to take it. Some states just have the elite, just the few, not the many. We have everyone that takes it, and as we compare with other states in the country, our ACT test scores are now number 1 in the nation. Our minority scores are up 15 to 20% depending on which minority we want to talk to, Hispanic, Polynesian, Pacific Islander, African American, etc. So we see the gap now between how we've done in the past and what our minorities, that gap is closed in a significant way. So again, our goal is to become number 1. I like the fact that we have a good trend. We're moving together in a collaborative spirit and accomplishing some significant things when it comes to educational achievement. So I want to thank everybody who's been a part of that. Many of you here have had integral roles in that, and I appreciate that as we continue to work together with a spirit of collaboration and cooperation to achieve our goal of number 1 in education in the state of Utah throughout the country. So thank you very much.